Ambassador Lyman, you do have a long association with struggling with these problems on the continent of Africa. And we have many NGOs who are here today as well. One of the things that comes with that experience of long being engaged with these types of regimes is it gives you an important historical check on your assumptions going forward. And in particular, in dealing with Khartoum, which has broken promise after promise, when dealing with somebody like Bashir, who is in power not because he's a peacemaker. He's in power because he is the most ruthless. When looking at that situation, and I've seen firsthand the result of that ruthlessness. In Sudan, in Darfur, Sudan, I remember we had a Nightline camera crew we took in to interview some of the survivors of an attack. And I remember a town, Tinea, that had been bombed from the air. That was not an attack by the Janjaweed. Those were Antonovs that bombed that town. I remember interviewing a young man who had lost his hand. He'd lost his hand to the Janjaweed, but with his other hand, he was able to draw pictures, as other kids did, of these Antonovs that had bombed their village and of mechanized armor, which was from the Khartoum's government, there to support the Janjaweed in the attack. So in looking at this, the NGO community, I think, is very hesitant to reach assumptions that all is going to end well. And in one particular regard, there is an issue that all of us are concerned about, and it has to do with that issue of the state sponsor of terrorism list. Because Joseph Kony of the Lord's Resistance Army could not have abducted 10,000 children and abused so many over the last 20 years and made child soldiers out of them without the armaments he got from Khartoum, and without being able to send his fighters up to Khartoum to be patched up, without the support that he had. They didn't allow people to go into South Sudan to take him out when we had the opportunity to do it. So the question I have is, have you made it very clear to Khartoum that any support for the LRA would prevent them from being taken off the terrorism list, and basically that for you, this is a red line? That's my question.
I can say categorically we have said that any support of them by proxies or other such entities would preclude our following through on that.
Very good.
And in general, I would say, in dealing with the regime, the way forward is for them to understand that this is the way for them to go forward, because it's worse for them if they don't, in terms of peace, in terms of any thoughts of prosperity.
And that's logical. But then we have the historical record, and we have the fact that for 10 years, between 94 and 05, Sudan is the only documented supporter for the LRA. And we have a UN report in November, last November, that LRA commanders reached out to Sudan's military in Darfur for support. Now, we don't know much more than that, other than that happened. But I guess my last question is, would the State Department certify to Congress that there are no links between the government in Khartoum and the LRA before taking them off the terrorism list? I guess that's a little harder question.
It is a harder question. I'll get you a definitive answer, because I have talked to the people who do that kind of analysis. But I can tell you this. I have discussed personally, and I know General Gratian has, the LRA with the government, and made it very clear that any support to the LRA would be an obstacle to normalization of relations with us. That's a terrible group. That's a horrific group.
Yeah, it's the most horrific group that probably on the planet.
Right.
And the fact that the Khartoum government would support. Ambassador Lyman, thank you for your service.
Thank you so much.